Industrial Revolution marked a period of development in the latter half of the 18th century that transformed largely rural, agrarian societies in Europe and America into industrialized urban ones. Fueled by the game-changing use of steam power, the Industrial Revolution began in Britain and spread to the rest of the world, including the United States by the 1830s and the 1840s. Starting in the mid-18th century, innovations like the flying shuttle, the spinning jenny, the water frame, and the power loom made weaving cloth and spinning yarn and thread much easier. Producing cloth became faster and required less time and far less human labor. More efficient mechanized production meant Britain's new textile factories could meet the growing demand for cloth both at home and abroad, where the nation's many overseas colonies provided a captive market for its goods. In addition to textiles, the British iron industry also adopted new innovations. An icon of the Industrial Revolution broke onto the scene in the early 1700s, when Thomas Newcomen designed the prototype for the first modern steam engine, called the atmospheric steam engine. Newcomen's invention was originally applied to power the machines used to pump water out of mine shafts. In the 1760s, Scottish engineer James Watt began tinkering with one of the Newcomen's models, adding a separate water condenser that made it far more efficient. Watt later collaborated with Matthew Boulton to invent a steam engine with a rotary motion, a key innovation that would allow steam power to spread across British industries, including flour, paper, and cotton mills, ironworks, distilleries, waterworks, and canals. Just as steam engines needed coal, steam power allowed miners to go deeper and extract more of this relatively cheap energy source. The demand for coal skyrocketed throughout the Industrial Revolution and beyond. It would be needed to run not only the factories used to produce manufactured goods, but also the railroads and steamships used for transporting them. Britain's road network, which had been relatively primitive prior to industrialization, would soon see many substantial improvements, and more than 2,000 miles of canals were in use across Britain by 1815. Just 30 years later, locomotives would start transporting freight and passengers. The later part of the Industrial Revolution also saw many advances in communication methods, as people increasingly saw the need to communicate efficiently over long distances. In 1837, British inventors William Cooke and Charles Wheatstone patented the first commercial telegraphy system, even as Samuel Morse and other inventors worked on their own versions in the United States. Cooke and Wheatstone's system would be used for railroad signaling, as the speed of the new trains had created a need for a more sophisticated means of communication. Despite all of these great new inventions, people were still suffering with low wage, hard working conditions, and pollution. But in the end, great things must come with a price. Some didn't have a choice and needed some source of income, even if it meant risking their lives, and others were probably forced into these working conditions. Nonetheless, all of these men, women, and children paved the way for this great society we live in today. And as the name states, it would revolutionize the industries that we know now. But then again, was it really worth it? All the human lives lost? All the childhoods taken away and all their lives ruined? Could all of this have been done in a better way? Who's to say? Life is a waltz, those in the front dancing gracefully through it, while those in the back trip and fall, facing through many hardships. Britain's Industrial Revolution was a golden age that came with a great price of human life. But the price was still paid, and we have what we have now today.